Welcome home, neighbors.
Hello, neighbors.
We're listening from
Arizona,
Florida,
Maryland, New York, New Jersey,
Indianapolis,
California,
Utah,
Michigan,
Iowa,
Massachusetts,
Georgia,
Canada,
Our home resort is
Animal Kingdom,
Polynesian,
Bay Lake Town,
Old Key West,
Riviera,
Boardwalk,
Alani Resort,
Hilton Head,
Boulder Ridge,
Copper Creek,
Grand Floridian,
Saratoga Springs,
Beach Club,
and Wilderness Lodge.
and you're listening to
and you're listening
You're listening
to
my
my
DVC Points.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the DVC Newscast. This is episode 123. We're recording this on September 13th. We had a lot of news come out the last 7 days or so, so we got a lot to cover, but I got Sue here with me this week again.
Hey there.
And we were actually just together in Florida. We went out to dinner as our first, as the kids say, IRL, in real life meetup. Sue introduced us to a lovely Spanish restaurant called the Colombian. Right?
Yeah, Columbia Restaurant in
Columbia?
Celebration.
My wife and I both loved it. So it was really good food. If you're straying off property and want to try something a little different, a Spanish Cuban kind of mix, very good. So anyways, but we don't want to talk about our dinner. We want to talk first about our sponsor, and that is the DVC rental store. If you have excess DVC points that you can't use for some reason, and who has that, but just in case, or you want to rent extra points because you've used all of yours, or you want to rent a specific reservation. Maybe you don't have enough points for a larger gathering. You want to book an existing reservation. I know some people use this type of thing for last minute trips where you can't necessarily use your own points because it's booked, but you go on there, you look at the reservations that exist. Maybe you can get something a couple months from now that you couldn't book yourself. But anyways, check them out. DVC rental store. They have lots of different options for you at all the different resorts. So go ahead and check them out.
And to that, Pete, I just want to add in, a lot of people don't know that the DVC rental store also has a swap program.
Oh,
and this is for members. And you can do the Disney cruises, Adventures by Disney, vacations to Universal, Sandals Resort vacations, beach house vacations by using your points. And trust me, when you look at the site, you're going to see, for example, a 4-night Bohemian cruise for two through DVC is 400 and I think it was 69 points. Through the swap program, it's 249 and no fee, no net exchange.
I was going to say, guarantee the prices they're going to have on those swaps are going to be way better than any trades you make through Disney or through, what is it, Interval International?
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely worth checking out if you're looking to try something different. Great way to swap points. And as you said, even the Universal swap, you can go to the Universal resorts doing that too. So
and get your tickets and get your fast pass.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, pretty good.
The first story that we have for you all tonight is the DVC and Annual Passholder previews for Moana Journey of Water. Both, they announced this week that Disney Vacation Club and Annual Pass holders will be able to get an early shot at the newest Epcot attraction, and that's Journey of Water into Water, and that's the Moana. Previews have been scheduled for September 24th to the 29th and October 1st to the 4th. So there's two different sessions. Previews will occur from park opening until 5 p.m. A park reservation for Epcot will be necessary to enter the attraction, but no special passes will be required. Members that hop to Epcot after 2 will not be eligible to enter. The DVC members can bring up to 4 guests per membership card. As part of the multiple park announcements we will be covering a bit later, the actual opening date for the attraction is listed at October 16th. With also a Moana Meet and Greet added to the attraction. I know some of the cast members who have gone through the attraction, and they said it's really cute and it's very interactive. If you think what you saw over by Imagination before with the fountains that would squirt from one to another, they've done a lot with the technology to get water to do different things with your movement.
Yeah, I think in general, people that have seen it have been impressed with it. Again, we're not talking Guardians of the Galaxy here, right? It's a walk-through attraction, but everybody says it's very entertaining. It's great with the kids, especially. When we were there, we were in Epcot a couple of days last week, and there were a lot of cast members lined up to get into that attraction. There was a lot of people going through there. I was amazed how many people they were pushing through. So there's definitely room for people to go through it. They also had a queue area where you could line up and see where you would wait, and they had some umbrellas. I can't think of the word umbrella. They had umbrellas to shade you in that waiting area and everything like that. So even if there's a bit of a wait, it does seem like they're going to have a little bit of shade for if you have to wait to get in during those previews. And I've also seen a lot of people say it's more impressive at night. They've started doing the previews into the evening, and some people have said it's really beautiful. This is exciting anytime you get a new attraction. Have you been there yet, Sue?
I haven't. The cast members, retirees weren't included.
Part of the cast member preview.
Right. I'll go with as a DVC member.
Yeah, you're going to check it out early. You'll have to give us a early preview once you do.
I'm looking forward to it because the pictures I've seen and just the topiary of Moana is beautiful. And I can imagine at nighttime with lighting, it's got to be beautiful.
And just a comment here, we had Amy says, "Hi, Pete and Sue. Thanks for coming on live. Happy to catch you this time."
We're happy you're joining.
We've been doing this the last couple of months. Chad suggested doing it to allow people to get the news quicker that way, because when we record, it usually takes, we try to get it out and published within 48 hours, and there's some editing involved and everything. It doesn't come out instantly, but this gives people a chance, if you want, to watch it right away. If you prefer to listen to it in the car or in a podcast or whatever, it's going to come out that way too. So you don't have to watch it live on here, but this is an opportunity to get that first viewing.
That was a nice picture, by the way, of Amy.
Oh,
her profile picture. I liked it.
Yeah, that's cute.
Isn't that cute?
Yeah, very sweet.
Yeah.
So next up piece of news, also this came out last week, was we got a lot of information about the Disney Treasure. And so the Disney Treasure is set to launch December of 2024, and there is announced a DVC member exclusive cruise on January 4th through the 11th. So this is a 7-night Eastern Caribbean cruise that will be available for DVC members only. Details of the new ship were released earlier this month, and it's going to include a Coco dining experience, so like a dinner show, kind of similar to what the Wish has with Arendelle, right? Frozen. Yep. This one's also going to have a Marvel dining room too. So it's still going to have Marvel, but this is instead of the Frozen one. There's a Jungle Cruise inspired lounge. There's a Nautilus 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea themed bar. A new stage show that's going to be called Curse of the Golden Egg with Mickey and Minnie. A bunch of other stuff. We're not a podcast about cruises, so I'm not going to go do a deep dive on that. You can go over and check out the DCL Duo. I'm sure they're having an entire episode on it. But just so people know, it's going to be available for DVC members to book that cruise in particular on October 16th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. is when it's supposedly scheduled to, the bookings are scheduled to be open. The cruise will visit Tortola, St. Thomas, and Castaway Cay, and also has 3 at-sea days, which sounds cool to me, because especially if you're on a new ship, you want to check everything out. And the one thing to remember is you must qualify for membership extras, and you must be able to book at least one person on the cruise with DVC points. You can pay cash for the other people, but at least one person in your party. So you have to have enough points that you bought with the membership extras that to qualify. Because actually, I have membership extra, but I bought my points resale back in 2014. So I don't qualify for cruise with those points, even though I have the membership extra qualifications. I can't do this.
Right.
But at least one person has to book using points. The rest can be cash. And Sue, I know you've done a lot more cruising than I have.
I've done the inaugural on the let's see, it was the Dream and the Wish. I've done some inaugural cruises, and I've been on the Magic. I've been on like 20 Disney cruises alone, and I love them. Just really, really enjoy them. And these are great ports. Tortola is a beautiful place to go. St. Thomas, Castaway Cay, but to have 3 sea days, I think is really wise, because you want to soak in the ship. And when I went on the Wish for its inaugural, it was the members inaugural, and it was only a 4-day. There wasn't
Right.
enough time to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
And that was disappointing because you really wanted to spend time going to the different lounges and being able to see all the nooks and crannies. And I have to go back because I didn't see it all.
Yeah. And this is, I think, the third scheduled cruise. There's two before it in late December, and then this
Yep.
one obviously January 4th. So they'll have worked the kinks out, hopefully.
Yep.
And
Yes.
hopefully we won't have the problem they had with the Wish where they had to delay it a few months. I think that was partly due to COVID. So hopefully it'll stay on schedule too.
It's gonna be nice. I look forward to it coming into Port Canaveral and watching it come in, and they have the boats with the water sprays. It's really something to see if people can do it when it comes in. It's nice to get out there to Port Canaveral if you're down here in this area of Florida and go over to Jetty Park, watch it come in. So with that, you're going to start off, tell us a little bit about the D23 presentation and some of the announcements.
Yeah, I gotta say, I always watch, and actually, I didn't watch this. I was in the parks on Saturday when all these announcements were taking place. So I'm like standing in line on my phone trying to figure out, and I'm actually like reading a conversation that people are having, and it's not clear exactly what's being announced, but they're just saying things about it. And I'm like, what's going on? We summed it all up here, trying to keep it fairly brief. A lot of people probably know these things, but in case you missed anything, these were all the announcements that were made on between Saturday and Sunday, because there's a couple items that didn't come out until Sunday. So anyways, I think people already know the Figment Meet and Greet opened on September 10th. My wife and I were there on the 8th in the Imagination Pavilion, and there was no hint of it. So we missed it by 2 days, but actually, apparently on the 10th, it was about a 3-hour wait to meet Figment, and I
Wow.
would have walked away from that. Sorry, Figment. I love you, man, but they're not worth 3 hours. And then this was one of the things that was announced the next day. Soarin' Over California is going to return to Epcot on September 22nd for a limited time for the 100th celebration. We
Nice.
do not know the end date. Now, the 100th celebration itself goes into like early December. So I'm guessing that's the timeline, but they did not say what the end date was for Soarin' Over California. But if you're going probably in October, November, it's a good chance if you haven't seen it for a while. This is one of the things I'm most excited about, to
Yeah.
be honest, because we're going to be back in November, crossing my fingers. And then they also announced that Asha, who's a character from the upcoming movie Wish, will be coming to Epcot, Disneyland, and also Disneyland Paris in November. They didn't give an exact date or where she's going to meet, but that character was brought on stage and introduced. They also mentioned that the World Celebration will be opening in Epcot in December. So that's the walls will finally be coming down, hopefully. And then the new World Showcase show, which is called Luminous, the Symphony of Us, will debut on December 5th.
Nice.
So it's not far away. And I don't know anybody that's been by the World Showcase Lagoon. Obviously, they've taken out all the big barges, but they're actually sinking some pylons into the lagoon. So I'm guessing they're going back to, we're going to bring barges out and bring them out and bring them back in. But we'll see. It's not far away. And then finally, and this one kind of blew me away, and not necessarily in a good way, Disney is working with sponsor Chevrolet to completely reimagine Test Track, which will be inspired by the original World of Motion.
Wow.
No date was provided for this. I mean, that's good news. It's good news
Yeah.
that they're going to look at World of Motion. I just think it's weird that you have attractions like the Imagination Pavilion that so much need to be redone, and you're going to do Test Track again, or Spaceship Earth even, right? They were supposed to upgrade Spaceship Earth and they canceled that. Getting things refreshed, it's always a good thing, but it just seemed to me like a kind of a weird choice.
Probably Chevrolet came up with additional sponsorship monies to get it moving. And that's what happens sometimes is the sponsors are eager to have a facelift. It's like, let's give you the money and start it now.
Yeah, because they don't have a ton of sponsors for pavilions
Correct.
anymore, but Chevrolet is still sponsoring that pavilion. And it might have been, they mentioned something about electric vehicles, so maybe there's going to be a real press to be more EV centric
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. Before I get to Hollywood Studios, what do you think about these? Are there anything particular you're looking forward to?
Soarin', just like you, soaring over
Yeah.
California. I miss that. Figment. I remember Dreamfinder and Figment when it first opened. I can remember going on that ride
Mhm.
6 times in a row just to learn the words to the music. And Figment is still one of my favorites. So
Yep.
I'm looking forward to it. I did see on one of the reels that was out there on YouTube, somebody was filming him coming in to do a meet and greet, and he tripped.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poor thing.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it happened at least twice that
Yep.
apparently, and they did quickly redesign the entryways. Hopefully we won't see that happen again, because that's a good way for Figment and friends of Figment to get hurt.
Yeah, you don't want Figment hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Soren, so I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm also curious about the show in the World Showcase Lagoon, because I was never a huge fan of Illuminations, but it was very popular. I enjoyed it, and I was kind of so on Harmonious.
Mhm.
It was fine. I didn't dislike it or anything, but I didn't think it looked as good as they want. Like, the problem with it is it didn't look great from all angles.
Mhm.
You had to be at the right spot, whereas you got to have a show in that lagoon that no matter where you are, it looks good.
Right.
I'm curious to see what they're going to do, so I'm looking forward to that too. But yeah, soaring over California, I'm really hoping it'll still be there early November, because we're at Boardwalk for 6 nights, and we will be in Epcot every day and every night probably. So
Fantastic.
all right, and then real quick, because I'm going to cover Hollywood Studios too. There was only one thing mentioned for Hollywood Studios, which I don't think is a big surprise. But Ahsoka, the new character, or she's not a new character, but the character from the new show, she will become part of the Star Tours attraction in spring of 2024. So they're going to be adding more versions of Star Tours. And I'm still, I hear people complain about Star Tours like, oh, it's been around for so long or whatever. But what I do like about that ride is every time you go on it, it's a little different. And
Mhm.
sometimes you get one you've already seen, and you're like, oh, I've seen this. But like last time we had one and we hadn't seen it before. It's fun enough that we keep going every time.
Yeah.
So it's good that they're doing it. You're going to hit the Magic Kingdom
Yep.
and Animal Kingdom news.
Right. So the changes for Magic Kingdom, one of the ones I'm looking forward to, is the Hatbox Ghost is going to be joining the Haunted Mansion in late November. And they're supposed to have the Hatbox Ghost in 2 places in the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm really excited to
He,
see how they're going to incorporate him.
yeah, he's definitely 100% going to be where the floating candelabra is,
Yep.
because you could see when we rode on it that there was a screen, like a big area of it was blocked off there. So that's definitely one spot. I don't know where the second one will be though.
And then there's a new act and new songs are coming to Country Bear Jamboree in 2024. Indication of using Disney Songbook. It's time that
Yeah.
attraction does need to be refurbished. I love it. I hoot and holler every time I go in there, but it would be nice to have some new songs to learn, and I think that's a great idea. The new lounge tavern is coming to Adventureland, and this has been talked about quite a bit in the past day or two. And this is going to be near pirates. So it's a pirate type of lounge, and it probably is going to, we're assuming that it might be a retheming of Tortuga Tavern that's there. More on that as it comes around. Hasn't
Mhm.
been announced when. I mean, more talk of Behind Thunder Mountain project, described as the biggest thing they've ever done in Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
So
So
there's
bigger than the Fantasyland expansion that
yep,
they did.
there's big stuff going on.
Yeah.
And my neighbor who happens to be Imagineer over there, um, I'm sure is working on it. And as all good cast members, everything is hush hush. I can't wait to see what they're going to do behind that area, behind Thunder Mountain, because there is space there where they could do quite a bit. As far as Animal Kingdom goes, a new show inspired by Zootopia is going to replace It's Tough to Be a Bug. I have mixed reviews on that. I like It's Tough to Be a Bug, but I like Zootopia. So I'm kind of curious to see what they're going to do, as if there's going to be any like 4D effects with this one. It's basically a 3D movie theater, but you did have some 4D effects, especially when the bugs kind of hit your legs and hit your butt. Uh, so it's, it remains to be seen. New artwork was shared for reimagined Dinoland to Tropical Americas, with mentions of bringing Encanto and Indiana Jones to life in the park. I don't know how you feel about Dinoland going away.
To me, it's a fascinating area because, like, if you know the story behind it and the details of it, it's kind of interesting. But in the end, if you're going to theme your theme park to a cheap roadside attraction, it's going to look like a cheap roadside attraction.
Right.
So, it's like the amount of detail. Like, one thing I found out several years ago is, like, all the plants in Dino Land are plants that existed 65 million years ago.
Oh, wow. I
And
didn't know
so,
that.
yeah, so there's like super levels of details in that area, but quite honestly, I don't think I don't think the dinosaur ride's a very good ride, and I don't think, again, the Chester and Hester's, when you know the story behind it, it's like, okay, that's kind of clever,
Yeah.
but in the end, it's themed to cheap roadside attraction, and so it looks like a cheap roadside attraction. I don't have an issue with this at all. Huge Indiana Jones fan, so I'm crossing my fingers that, I mean, clearly they're going to retheme the dinosaur attraction to that because they already have one in California.
Hmm.
My hope is they're going to make it a little different, at least from California, so it's not an exact duplicate.
Right.
I think that would be cooler if they, like, varied the story even just a little bit, so
Hmm.
that if you rode the two, you could see the difference. But the California one is a much better ride, and it's the exact same track layout and the exact same cars,
Yep.
and it's a much
Yep.
better ride. I have no issue with this. I wish they'd given us some kind of dates,
Yeah, they didn't.
because to me it's still this is still kind of blue sky. I feel like it's more firm than the Big Thunder Mountain news,
Right.
which is just like, yeah, something's going to go over there
Yeah.
and we'll do it eventually.
Yep.
It
Yep.
just doesn't mean a lot to me. And so even this, like, seeing that, oh, Uncano and this and that, it's probably going to change. We'll see. I'm hoping that we'll get some more concrete announcements before next year's D23,
Hmm.
because if even if they told us tomorrow they're going to start working on it, we're probably looking at 2026,
Yeah.
right? I mean, realistically.
They could probably redo the dinosaur. Probably wouldn't take too much time because you've got the track there, you've got
Yeah.
the vehicles, so it's just retheming them, and then it's taking the inside and changing the storyline. But
Right.
the guts are there
Yeah.
for it.
Because if we looked at Tiana, they're doing Tiana in about a year and a half, right?
Right,
So yeah, probably be somewhat similar.
right.
Yeah. But we still don't know when. So it's good news, but it's got to move forward.
This
So,
is true.
so we got a few things from elsewhere, nothing major. They showed the ride vehicle from the Thanos attraction that's coming to Avengers Campus at Disneyland. I think the big news there is that it's still happening. So that's good news. We got a new name for the second island for Disney Cruise Line. Instead of just being called Lighthouse Point, it will be called Lookout Key at Lighthouse Point. I'm sure there's some people that are excited about that name change, but the new ship coming to Singapore has a name. The name is the Disney Adventure. That's a ship I'm sure I'll never sail on, though. And then we got some news about the 2024 D23 Expo, and they still called it the D23 Expo, but they said that it was going to be changing in type a little bit. It's going to be next August 9th, and instead of just being at the Anaheim Convention Center, it's going to take place across some different venues,
Mhm.
and even potentially within the park. So be interesting to see how that changes and how successful that is. Hopefully we'll get some more news, at least on the Animal Kingdom expansion, before then.
Yeah.
But I would expect we will probably not hear anything more about the Beyond Big Thunder till next August at the earliest.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
because I think they're still very much in the planning stages on that. I think that covers everything from that. and we don't have any comments. So I'm going to move on to the last story. And everybody probably got an email about this, but in case you didn't, I think it's good news to have that the villas at the Disneyland Hotel will be hosting a member open house event on September 29th through October 1st. It'll be an hour-long self-guided tour and will offer members an opportunity to see the newest timeshare property, including the interior of a 3-bedroom grand villa. Light refreshments and entertainment will also be provided. Capacity is limited and registration is required. They're actually starting registration. So this is if it's good that you're listening to this live, because they're starting registration 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific on Thursday, September 14th, which as we're recording this is tomorrow.
Right.
So it's going to use a virtual queue, and we found this story on dvcnews.com. If you click on the link in our show notes, or if go to dvcnews.com, go to that story, they actually have a link to the virtual queue. And so then you can click on that and then sign up. I don't know if I feel like this is going to go quick. It could.
It could. I mean, I think you're going to have a lot of locals who are there
Yeah.
who are going to want to see it. And I think it's great that they're opening it up and allowing this to happen and having some entertainment and some light food or light
Yeah.
snacks with it.
But I
I
almost would bet if you showed up on October 2nd and said you wanted a tour of the rooms, they would probably still give you a tour.
Right.
So you just might miss out on the light refreshment.
Good news. Good news today.
I think more came out of Destination D23 in Florida this
Yep.
year than came out last year in Anaheim, which is really rare.
Right.
I wholeheartedly did not expect this much news to come out
Yep.
of Destination D23, because usually it's very limited. Like
Right.
the Hatbox Ghost thing,
Right.
updates like that, yeah, but for them to actually talk about Animal Kingdom to that extent, I think that was, and especially the Zootopia. I know you said you like the Bugs Light ride, and I like it fine. I find it terrorizes children. It isn't the worst thing to get rid of.
This is true.
Yeah, our daughter did not go on it till she was like 13, because
Oh.
she was always a very timid kid.
Yep.
And I never wanted to force her on it because I knew how kids
Yep.
react to it.
Yep.
So yeah, she was a lot older before she actually went on it, and even then she didn't like it. So I think it's fun, and again, history of an attraction. It is still the only attraction that opened before that movie in which it was about. There's never been another attraction at a Disney park that the attraction is opened before the movie.
Right.
So when that's gone, we'll lose that a little bit of trivia. Other than that, I'm okay with Zootopia. I think what they're talking about doing, which is like visiting the different biomes,
Mhm.
and hopefully they give it a little bit of edutainment to it,
Yep.
like they do with It's Tough to Be a Bug. I think it could still work well in the Tree of Life. It's generally all good news. I don't know. It's a lot of news. So now I'm not expecting anything for like the next couple of weeks.
It was funny because when Josh Tomorrow was talking about this, he basically said, as you can see now, there's going to be a lot of activity in all the parks. And he's right. It might be little things in some parks and some of it will be sooner than
Yep.
later, but there's some big stuff on the horizon. I mean, it's between the Behind Thunder Mountain that he alluded to and the Dino Land. Those are
Yep.
two big areas.
To me, they should always be developing. There should always be something in the process of being constructed,
Right.
and not Tiana retheming an existing attraction. There should always be something new coming. It doesn't have to be in all 4 parks at the same time. I totally understand that would be a lot to do, but we should always be looking at, here's what's coming in that. So I'm glad to see this coming at Animal Kingdom.
Yeah.
Animal Kingdom really does still need more. And I will say the one thing that did kind of bother me about that is, okay, good, we're getting dinosaur rethemed. What we used to have, the Primeval Whirl
Mhm.
and the Triceratops Spin. So that's 3 rides, and we're getting this redone as 3 rides. So we're not actually adding. I realize they've ripped out Primeval Whirl, so it will be
Right.
adding an attraction. It's really a park that needs more. That I mean, Pandora helped, but that park just needs more
Yeah.
attractions. It really does, and that's the only thing that worries me. Is I really hope they truly put 3 attractions in there.
Mhm.
That it's not just Indiana Jones, and one other.
Right.
I really hope they manage to find a way, even if it's a light attraction, Triceratops spin. Let's get at least 3 attractions to at least
Right.
replace what was there.
Yeah, I agree with you. That's all we can hope for.
So with that, we haven't had any other comments, but we will want to thank our 3 sponsors, which are Monera Financial, the DVC rental store, and the resale market, all part of the world of DVC, for their continued support of the My DVC Points platform. We also, I think we're going to just say bye, everybody, because the show has run a little long. And so I won't bore people with my notes on my trip, just to say it was really great to see Sue in person, because even though we do these podcasts together, we're all different parts of the country a lot of times. So when we get to see each other, it's a lot of fun to be able to talk to someone in person. So I really appreciated that you joined us, Sue.
Oh, I had a ball. And thank you very much. It was great.
All right. And with that, I'm going to say see you real soon, everybody.
Good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. You know we'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.